Welcome to Leaders in Action, Looking Ahead. I'm Robin Termingham of the Olderhood Group, and my guests today are Olderhood CEO Bill Story and John Neal, who's the CEO of Lloyds of London. This is the first of a three-part video series that we're doing with John, and today we're chatting about how Lloyds has coped with COVID-19. Welcome, John. How are you doing today?
Yeah, Robin, it's a real pleasure to be with you and Bill. Good to see you both.
Well, we're very honored that you could find a few minutes to chat with us. We know how busy you are. First of all, I'm sure all over the world, thanks to the movies at least, everyone has heard of Lloyds, but I bet there's quite a few people out there who aren't exactly sure what Lloyds is. So let's start there.
It's unusual, isn't it? And it always needs a bit of describing. Lloyds is the only true marketplace for insurance and reinsurance in the world. It's been trading for 330 years, amazingly, and we have 300 broking firms and 100 insurers turn up at our front door every single day. So it is truly unique from anywhere in the world. You know, we're licensed in 200 countries in the world. We're rated by Standard & Poor's and AM Best, and we're granted permission to self-regulate both prudentially and from a conduct point of view. So if the three of us had a great idea today and it was Lloyd's, no one would ever let us set it up. But I'm glad that somebody did all that time ago and that we are where we are today.
Started off obviously as a coffee shop, if memory serves us correct, which was really more in the marine shipping industry at that time, I think, wasn't it? That, you know, the ship owners would get together and try and figure out how to protect themselves in the case of vessels going down or storms or stuff like that. I think that's where it started, and it was a coffee shop.
So it was Edward Lloyd, and they described them as coffee shops, but they were actually really auction houses on the edge of the Thames. And what really happened was the ship owners would bring their wares into these auction rooms to sell them, and some entrepreneurs back in that day decided that there was a real opportunity to insure the cargo. And what they would do is take a stake and they'd say, well, we'll insure the cargo for 20% of its value, because it was at a time when pirates were everywhere. Mm-hmm. So what they did was they wrote a list of the cargo out and they wrote their name underneath to say that that's what they were insuring. And that's where the term underwrite comes from. They wrote their name underneath, and that's where the term underwrite comes from today. So that's how it all started.
Wow, I don't think I knew that. Thank you for sharing that. COVID-19, I mean, we've been asking everybody, how has that affected operations at Lloyd's?
Yeah, it's been amazing, really. It's, there are two sets of people we had to think about, customers and our people. And I think we'll talk about how the insurance industry has or hasn't coped with COVID. We'll pay out just under $8 billion of claims that are COVID related across quite a range of insurance covers. And we've been determined to try and get those payments out as quickly as we can. So we certainly thought customer and we thought people, because it was a real challenge from an organizational point of view to set ourselves up. And I've been super impressed by the way in which the market, if you like, has flicked the switch from being physically present to operating digitally and remotely. And we've done that really, really quite well. And done some interesting things in the past 12 months. When you think of the vaccination programs that are being rolled out around the world today, at their peak, we were insuring 104 different vaccine trials that were going on around the world. We've set up a syndicate, in the name of Parcel, in partnership with Ascot, that have the ability to do sort of soup to nuts for vaccine. They have the ability to back up the insurer, the insurance for the manufacturer. They have the ability to insure the cargo with real-time risk management tech that tracks the temperature of the vaccine in transit, and then the ability to ensure the administration of the vaccine at the far end. So I think the market's really been at its best, really. It's been innovative, it's stood up for its customers, and at the same time, we've had to think quite deeply about, well-being and mental health and all the issues that everyone else has been grappling with as we've been in various forms of lockdown.
The market is really a gathering place, if I can say it that way, of people who are not just doing insurance per se, but they're bringing research to the table, they're bringing data to the table, I'm sure they're bringing, different stories from around the world, where you've got many disciplines, not just financial people, not just insurance people, mathematicians, IT specialists, data integrity people, safety, security, etc. For, as you say, for the customers. So it really is a melting pot. I always think that the insurance business is the one business in the world that touches every other business in the world, because every business needs insurance or should have insurance. But in order for that to take place, then the market, in this case Lloyd's, the market must be able to interact, converse, understand, and implement various types of, be it discipline or just simple, the ability to do the business of that business is being insured.
I mean, our purpose at Lloyd's, we describe as sharing risk to create a braver world. And it sort of encapsulate what we do, because some of the insurance propositions that come to the market are so complex that they need many insurers to co-participate to be able to provide enough cover, enough limit to cover one risk. So you have the concept of many insurers participating to create one solution. I like the braver world as well, really, because it's exactly as you've described, Bill. You stand in a skyscraper in New York and look out, and you need insurance to do everything. Every building needs insurance. Every person that's moving around needs insurance. Everybody that's innovating or trying to do something different, it could be their own IP, it could be the cyber threats we talk about. It all needs insurance, and insurance should really be about giving businesses and communities and even governments the confidence to go about their daily work, because they know that their back is covered in the event that something they couldn't have foreseen goes wrong.
I would imagine there's a fair amount of creativity required in your business as well, because you're the people who hear about things that have never existed before.
Yeah.
Situations that have never been thought of before.
It's and I like that about insurance. We don't always know exactly what the risk is, but we'll try and solve for the problem. So, I was talking just before the three of us came online to the Director of Treasury at Her Majesty's Government in the UK. And we intend to stand up a cover for pandemic, non-damage business interruption cover, financial loss for a business, no other damage in the event of a pandemic. And the moment the UK comes out of national lockdown, we will have that cover available. Do we know exactly how to price it? Do we know exactly what the exposure is going to look like? Of course we don't. But we feel that there is a societal need and an obligation to provide cover. I think insurers are good at that. So there is a little bit of learning along the way. And as Bill said earlier on, on a typical day physically in Lloyd's, there'll be about 6,000 people in and out the building. But we've given almost 50,000 people permission to access that building. And they are right across the skill sets that Bill described. So they could be data scientists, they could be actuaries, they could be underwriters, they could be claims professionals, they could be lawyers, there could be a whole range of parties that could come together to create a solution or to solve the problem when a loss occurs.
Now, having just talked about the huge number and variety of people who interact with Lloyd's, what's it been like having to take all of that and suddenly move it to working remotely?
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting live experiment that we probably never thought we would have to do. The good news is it stood up. The market went digital in an instant. We closed the underwriting room at Lloyd's for the only time in its history in peacetime.
Wow.
There's never been a peacetime instance of needing to close the underwriting room. And when we opened it again in September, we had to close it again in December. We wanted a virtual capability to exist. So we wanted the technology we're using today to be available to the underwriter and the broker so that we could be different, connect physically and connect virtually. So I think, yes, it was good that we were able to do that. My personal reflection is that you need the virtual and the real world, because what it's shown us is that you can connect and communicate effectively virtually. So where you have an existing relationship, a renewal piece of business, it works perfectly well. It doesn't work well for new contacts, new business. Because what you can't do very well, the way we're talking today, is it's very difficult to collaborate. It's very difficult to be creative, and you can't socialize. Yeah, so it doesn't do everything. So there are lots of things we can do differently in the future, but I think there is still a value proposition in the physical connection.
I think we'll all be very glad to be able to work more face-to-face as we go forward. You've been watching Leaders in Action with John Neal. Join us again for part 2 of this discussion.